Maya Chen hasn't seen her identical twin sister Lily in 12 years, not since the night Lily vanished without a trace from their childhood bedroom. Now, a successful architect in Manhattan, Maya has built a life of steel and glass, everything ordered and rational. But lately she's been seeing Lily everywhere. Standing at the edge of crowds, reflected in windows, always just out of reach. The visions only come during daylight hours, dissolving like smoke when Maya tries to approach. Chapter 1. The afternoon sun sliced through Manhattan's skyline, turning the glass towers into mirrors of fire. Maya Chen stood at her office window on the 42nd floor, portfolio tucked against her ribs like armor, and tried to remember how to breathe. In 15 minutes, she would walk into the conference room. In 15 minutes, she would present the Riverside project to Sterling Architecture's senior partners, 200 units of sustainable housing that could reshape how the city thought about affordable living. In 15 minutes, she would either become the youngest partner in the firm's history or remain exactly what she'd been for the past 6 years. Brilliant, dependable, and invisible. Her reflection stared back from the glass. 30 years old. Black hair pulled into a knot so tight it made her scalp ache. Charcoal suit that cost more than her first month's rent. Not a thread out of place. Not a crack in the facade. Then the woman appeared in the window across the street. Maya's breath stopped. The building opposite was all reflective glass, a perfect mirror catching the afternoon light. And there, 4 stories up, pressed against the window like a moth against a lamp, her sister's face. Lily's face. Pale and urgent. Lips moving in words Maya couldn't hear. One hand splayed against the glass as if she could push through it. 12 years. 12 years since Lily had vanished from the bed beside her, from their shared room in Ashwood, from existence itself. 12 years of police reports and search parties and eventually, inevitably, a memorial service where they'd buried an empty casket. The portfolio slipped from Maya's fingers. Papers scattered across the polished floor, blueprints, renderings, cost analyses, but she couldn't look away from the window. From Lily, her sister's mouth formed a single word. Maya. Miss Chen? Her assistant's voice cut through the ringing in her ears. They're ready for you. Maya spun around. Jennifer stood in the doorway, perfectly coiffed and concerned, holding a tablet like a shield. Are you all right? You look. I'm fine. The words came out sharp. Maya crouched, gathering papers with shaking hands. Blueprint corners bit into her palms. Just dropped something. Jennifer moved to help, but Maya waved her off. When she glanced back at the window across the street, the face was gone. Just glass and sky and the endless indifferent sprawl of the city. Miss Chen. We really should. I said I'm fine. She wasn't fine. Her hands trembled as she shoved papers back into the portfolio. Pages out of order now. Her perfect presentation compromised. But she stood anyway, smoothed her suit jacket, and forced her face into something calm. Something professional. Something that wouldn't reveal she'd just seen a ghost. The presentation was a disaster, though no one seemed to notice but her. She hit her marks, displayed her slides, answered questions about load-bearing walls and solar panel efficiency. But her voice sounded wrong in her own ears, distant and hollow, like it was traveling through water. Twice, she lost her place. Once, she called the Riverside project by its old working name, the one she'd used before rebranding it into something the partners might actually approve. Through the conference room's floor-to-ceiling windows, she could see the building across the street. Could feel eyes on her that weren't there. Innovative work, Thomas Sterling said when she finished. He was 70, silver-haired, built his empire on knowing exactly when to seem impressed. We'll discuss it and get back to you by Friday. Friday. 3 days away. 3 days to wait and wonder if she'd just thrown away everything she'd worked for because her dead sister's face had appeared in a window. Maya nodded, shook hands, smiled until her face hurt. And the moment she escaped to her office, she locked the door and pressed her forehead against the glass. The building across the street was empty. Just windows reflecting sky. Lily, she whispered. The glass fogged with her breath. For a moment, just a heartbeat, she thought she saw a handprint appearing in the condensation. Small fingers. A child's palm. Then Jennifer knocked. The sound sharp as a gunshot, and the mark was gone. The rest of the day blurred past in meetings she barely remembered. She caught Jennifer watching her twice, concern creasing the younger woman's forehead. Maya ignored it. She was good at ignoring things. 12 years of practice had made her an expert. At 7, she finally escaped to the street. Manhattan rushed around her, taxis and tourists, and the eternal smell of hot garbage and ambition. She'd loved this city once. Loved how you could disappear into it. Become anyone. Leave your past behind like old skin. Now it felt like a cage made of steel and glass and lies. Her phone buzzed. James. Still at the office. Want me to pick up dinner? She stared at the message. James Whitmore. 3 years together. Investment banker, marathon runner, owned a golden retriever named Fitzgerald, and listened to podcasts about the Roman Empire. He was good. Kind. Safe. Everything Maya had chosen deliberately after Ashwood. After Lily. After learning that the people you loved most could vanish between one breath and the next. He knew she'd grown up in Oregon. He knew her parents were dead car accident. She'd told him, which wasn't quite a lie. He knew she'd been an only child. He knew nothing that mattered. Sure, she texted back. Ty? His response came immediately. You got it. See you at 8. She pocketed her phone and started walking. Not toward the subway that would take her to James's apartment in the West Village. Not toward anything in particular. Just away from her office building. Away from windows that showed faces that couldn't exist. 3 blocks south, she saw Lily again. This time in a coffee shop window. There and gone in the space between steps. But Maya's heart still lurched sideways in her chest. She stopped so fast a man behind her cursed, and swerved around her. The reflection was wrong. Too clear. Too deliberate. Like Lily was standing just behind Maya's shoulder, leaning in close the way she used to when they were children sharing secrets. Maya turned. Nothing but other pedestrians. All of them annoyed by the woman blocking the sidewalk. When she looked back at the window, her own reflection stared back. Alone. She made it to James's apartment by 8:15. He met her at the door with wine and concern. His tie loosened, sleeves rolled up to reveal forearms tanned from his weekend sailing hobby. Handsome in that effortless way some men were. Like he'd never had to work for anything in his life. Maybe he hadn't. You look exhausted, he said, kissing her forehead. Big presentation. Yeah. She accepted the wine glass, drank too fast. The Thai food was already laid out on his dining table, pad Thai and green curry. And those spring rolls she usually loved. Her stomach turned. It went fine. Just fine. He guided her to the table, one hand warm on the small of her back. You've been working on Riverside for months. It had to be better than fine. She should tell him. About the window. About Lily. About the way her carefully constructed world felt like it was developing fault lines. Stress fractures ready to shatter. Instead, she said, I think I got it. Partnership. They seemed impressed. His face lit up. Maya, that's incredible. We should celebrate. I've got champagne in the... Not tonight. She sat, picked up chopsticks she had no intention of using. I'm just tired. He watched her across the table. Golden retriever eyes full of uncomplicated affection. Is everything okay? You've seemed off all week. Work stress. You know how it is. Actually, I don't think I do. He leaned forward, elbows on the table in a way his mother had definitely taught him was improper. You're the most composed person I know, Maya. Nothing rattles you. But lately, he trailed off, searching her face for something she wouldn't let him find. Talk to me. The kindness in his voice made something crack behind her ribs. He was good. He deserved better than this. Better than her. I'm fine, James. Really, he didn't believe her. She could see it in the way his smile didn't quite reach his eyes, in the careful distance he maintained for the rest of dinner. They ate in near silence, pretending everything was normal, pretending they were still the same couple who'd spent last weekend antiquing in Connecticut and talking about maybe, eventually, moving in together. By 10, Maya claimed a headache. James walked her to the door, kissed her goodbye with lips that tasted like wine and disappointment. Will you call me tomorrow? He asked. Of course. She wouldn't. They both knew it. The walk back to her own apartment took 40 minutes. She could have caught a cab, but she needed the air, needed the movement, needed the city's chaos to drown out the thoughts spiraling through her mind. Lily was dead. Lily had been dead for 12 years. What Maya was seeing it was stress, exhaustion, the pressure of the presentation breaking something loose in her carefully controlled psyche. Except Lily had always appeared in daylight, never at night. And now, with the sun long gone and street lamps casting their orange glow across empty sidewalks, Maya saw nothing but her own shadow stretching behind her. Her building was a walk-up in Chelsea, 4th floor, brick facade and fire escape, and neighbors she'd successfully avoided knowing for 2 years. She climbed the stairs, key already in hand, and stopped. A package sat in front of her door. Brown paper. No postage. No return address. Just her name written in handwriting that made her knees go weak. Maya's hand shook as she picked it up. Light. Maybe £1. She should call someone. James. The police. Anyone. Instead, she unlocked her door, stepped inside, and locked it behind her. Her apartment was a small studio with a view of a brick wall, minimalist furniture, nothing personal on the walls. A place to sleep between the hours she spent at the office, a place that demanded nothing and revealed less. She set the package on her kitchen counter, stared at it under the harsh LED lights. Her name in Lily's handwriting. Impossible. The paper tore easily. Inside, a cardboard box. Inside that, photographs. At least 24, all of them from childhood. Maya and Lily at 7. Gap-toothed and grinning. Arms around each other's shoulders. At 10, dressed as matching witches for Halloween. At 12, solemn-faced at their grandmother's funeral. Maya had never seen any of these photos before. Beneath them, a key. Old brass. Tarnished green. Attached to a tag that reads Storage Unit 247. Ashwood Self-Storage. And beneath that, a note. 1 page. Folded carefully. Covered in Lily's familiar cramped handwriting. Maya's hands shook so badly she could barely unfold it. Maya. I've been waiting for you to be ready. I know you've seen me. I know you think you're going crazy. You're not. I'm here. I've always been here. In the spaces between light and shadow. Watching over you. I can't explain everything in a letter. I can't even write much. It takes so much energy just to move things in your world. To leave traces you might follow. But you need to come home. To Ashwood, Storage Unit 247. Everything I learned is there. Everything you need to know. The summer solstice is in 7 days. 7 days, Maya. Before it's too late. Before they come for you the way they came for me. I made a choice 12 years ago. I'd make it again. But now you need to choose to. Come home. Please. I love you. I never stopped. L. The paper slipped from Maya's fingers. She stood in her kitchen, under the LED lights that suddenly seemed too bright, in the apartment that suddenly seemed too empty, and felt the last 12 years of careful construction crumble into dust. Lily wasn't dead. Lily was reaching for her. And Maya, who'd spent more than a decade building walls against the past, who'd become someone else entirely, who'd convinced herself she was fine. Maya wasn't fine at all. She picked up her phone. Not to call James. Not to call anyone. She pulled up flight bookings to Oregon. The earliest flight left at 6 a.m. She bought a ticket with shaking fingers. One way. Using the credit card she kept for emergencies. 7 hours from now, she'd be on a plane. By afternoon, she'd be back in Ashwood. Back home. Back to whatever had taken her sister 12 years ago and was now, impossibly, calling her back. Maya looked at the photographs scattered across her counter. At the key. At Lily's handwriting forming words that shouldn't exist. Outside her window, the city sprawled in all directions. 8 million people. None of them her sister. None of them family. None of them real. She picked up the key. It was warm in her palm, like someone had been holding it moments before. 7 days until the solstice. Maya had a feeling 7 days wouldn't be nearly enough. Chapter 2. Maya didn't sleep. She sat on her apartment floor, surrounded by photographs of a childhood she'd spent 12 years trying to forget. Watching the sky outside her window shift from black to gray to the bruised purple of approaching dawn. At 4:30, she texted James. Family emergency. Have to go to Oregon. Will call when I can. His response came 20 minutes later. What happened? Are you okay? Do you want me to come with you? Her fingers hovered over the keyboard. She could tell him. Could say the words that would crack open everything she'd hidden. My sister, the one I never told you about, she's been dead for 12 years, except she's not dead. She's trapped somewhere between worlds, and she needs me, and I think I'm losing my mind. Instead, she typed. Distant aunt. Very sick. Need to handle some things. I'm fine. Talk soon. She turned off her phone before he could respond. The flight to Portland was mechanical security line. Boarding. Take off. Maya sat by the window and watched Manhattan shrink beneath her. All those glass towers catching the morning light like the city was made of mirrors. She pressed her forehead against the cold plastic and tried not to think about Lily's face in the window. Lily's handwriting on impossible paper. Lily's voice in her head saying, come home. The woman in the next seat tried to make conversation somewhere over Pennsylvania. Maya closed her eyes and pretended to sleep until the woman gave up. Oregon appeared beneath the clouds gradually. Then all at once. Green. So much green it hurt to look at after years of concrete and steel. The forest stretched endlessly, broken only by rivers that caught the light like veins of silver. Somewhere down there, tucked against the coast where the forest met the sea, Ashwood waited. Maya's chest tightened. She rented a car at the Portland airport, something small and forgettable, and drove west toward the coast. The highway cut through Douglas fir forests, so dense they turned the afternoon dim. Branches met overhead, creating tunnels of shadow broken by shafts of light that seemed too bright, too deliberate. Twice, Maya thought she saw someone standing at the edge of the tree line, a pale figure, watching. But when she looked directly, there was nothing but ferns and fallen logs. The third time, she didn't look, just pressed harder on the gas. Ashwood announced itself with a hand-painted sign. Welcome to Ashwood, founded 1847. Population 3,200. Someone had added graffiti beneath it. Leave while you can. Maya's hands clenched on the steering wheel. The town hadn't changed. Same main street lined with Victorian buildings painted in shades of cream and sage and dusty rose. Same antique shops and cafes and the old movie theater that only played films from before 1980. Same fog rolling in from the Pacific, turning everything soft and uncertain. Same weight pressing down on her shoulders the moment she crossed the town line. Like Ashwood itself recognized her, and wasn't sure whether to welcome her back or spit her out. The Chen family had helped build this town. Her great-great-grandfather had come from San Francisco during the gold rush, made his fortune in timber, and sunk roots so deep that even now 5 generations later people recognized the name, recognized what it meant. Maya had spent her childhood trying to live up to that legacy. Lily had spent hers trying to escape it. She drove past their old house without meaning to. It sat on Maple Street, a 3-story Victorian with a widow's walk and gingerbread trim, painted the same pale yellow it had always been. Someone else lived there now. Different curtains in the windows. Different car in the driveway. But Maya could still see the oak tree they'd climbed. Still see the bedroom window on the second floor where she'd woken up 12 years ago to find Lily's bed empty. She didn't stop. Couldn't. If she stopped, she'd never start moving again. The bed and breakfast was on the outskirts of town. A converted sea captain's mansion with a view of the harbor. Maya had booked it online during her layover in Portland. Chosen it specifically because it wasn't in the center of town. Wasn't somewhere she'd be recognized. She should have known better. The woman who answered the door took one look at Maya's face and said, "Lord above. You're Margaret Chen's girl. The one who left." Maya's stomach dropped. "Ah yes. I have a reservation. Maya Chen. I know who you are. Dear." The woman was 70 if she was a day. White hair in a crown of braids. Wearing a cardigan despite the mild temperature. Her eyes were sharp and sad. "I'm Dorothy Holloway. I run this place. Used to run the post office, back when you girls were small. You probably don't remember me." Maya did remember. Mrs. Holloway had always given them peppermints when their mother brought them to mail packages. Had always asked about school, about their drawings, about which twin was which, a question most people got wrong. "Mrs. Holloway," Maya said. "It's good to see you again." A lie, but a necessary one. The old woman's smile was knowing. Come in, come in. You look exhausted. Let me show you to your room." The house smelled like lavender and old wood and something else, something Maya couldn't quite name. Not unpleasant, but unsettling. Like the scent of a storm about to break. Mrs. Holloway led her upstairs to a room facing the harbor. Brass bed. Antique dresser. Lace curtains filtering the afternoon light into something pale and ghostly. The kind of room that belonged in a photograph from 1920. "Bathrooms down the hall," Mrs. Holloway said, setting Maya's bag on the bed. "Breakfast is at 8, but I can bring you something earlier if you need. I imagine you're here about," she stopped, cleared her throat. "Well, I imagine you have your reasons for coming back." Maya turned to face her. "What were you going to say?" The old woman's expression shifted. Something passed behind her eyes, fear or sympathy or maybe both. "I see her sometimes. You know. Your sister. Always in the daylight hours, never at night." She moved to the window, one weathered hand touching the glass. "Some say the missing girls haunt the places they loved. Some say they're trapped. Some say it's just grief, making us see things that aren't there." The room tilted. Maya grabbed the bedpost to steady herself. You've seen Lily 3 times in the past month. Once in the market, once at the harbor, once right out there. She pointed to the garden below. Standing under the willow tree, clear as day. Then I blink and she's gone. Mrs. Holloway turned back to Maya, and her eyes were wet. You're not crazy, child. Whatever you're seeing, you're not alone in seeing it. Maya's throat closed. Why didn't anyone say anything? When she disappeared, why didn't anyone mention? We did. To the police, to your parents, to anyone who'd listen. But what were we supposed to say? That we saw a dead girl's ghost? That she only appears in sunlight? They thought we were hysterical old women, seeing what we wanted to see. She crossed the room, took Maya's hand in both of hers. Her skin was papery and cold. But you're here now. That means something. That means it's time. Time for what? Mrs. Holloway's grip tightened. To finish what your sister started. To break the cycle. Before the solstice, she released Maya's hand and moved toward the door. Rest. You'll need your strength. And Maya? She paused in the doorway. Be careful who you trust in this town. The old families, they protect their own. They always have. Then she was gone, leaving Maya alone in a room that smelled like lavender and secrets. Maya sat on the bed. Outside, fog was rolling in from the ocean, turning the world gray and indistinct. She pulled out her phone, powered it back on. 7 messages from James. Increasingly worried, she deleted them without reading. The storage facility was on the industrial edge of town, wedged between the old cannery and the marina. Maya drove there, as the sun started its descent, turning the fog golden. Storage Unit 247 was in the back corner, one of the larger units, secured with a padlock that looked newer than the rust-stained door. The key from the package fit perfectly. The lock clicked open. Maya took a breath and rolled up the door. The space was crammed with boxes, dozens of them, stacked floor to ceiling, labeled in Lily's handwriting. 1955 to 1000. 960. 1000. 975 to 1000. 980. 2005 to 2010. Newspaper archives. Police reports. Family histories. And in the center, on a card table, a dozen journals bound in leather. Maya's hands shook as she opened the first one. September 3rd, 2011. If I'm right about this, if the pattern holds, then Maya and I are in danger. The Chen family has always provided daughters to Ashwood. That's what no one says out loud. That's what everyone pretends not to know. Every 5 years since 1955, a young woman between 20 to 25 disappears during the summer solstice. Not murdered. Not kidnapped in any conventional sense. Taken. Offered to something. Given over. I've counted 14 disappearances. 14 women, all from founding families. All brushed aside as runaways or accidents. But I've talked to the families. I've read the reports. These women didn't run. They vanished. And everyone in this town knows why, even if they won't say it. We turn 20 in 2 years. The next solstice after that 2013, they'll come for one of us. I know they will. The Chen family hasn't provided a sacrifice in decades. We're overdue. Maya's vision blurred. She flipped ahead, months passing in pages. January 15th, 2012, I met someone. Thomas Strand. He's the town historian. Works at the library. And he's the first person who doesn't think I'm crazy. He showed me the archives, the real ones. Not the sanitized versions in the public records. There's a pattern going back to the founding. Every 5 years. Always the solstice. Always a daughter of Ashwood. Thomas thinks it's a ritual. Something the founding families agreed to when they built this town. A pact with something old. Something that lives in the space between light and dark. Appease it, and Ashwood prospers. The fishing is good. The timber industry thrives. No one gets sick. No one goes hungry. A town built on dark bargains and silence. He's helping me research. More than that, he believes me. Actually believes me. No one's ever believed me before. Not even Maya, who I haven't told about any of this. I can't. She'd try to stop me. She'd try to protect me. That's always been her problem, thinking she has to save everyone. But I'm the one who's going to save her. The entries continued. Maya read through tears that wouldn't stop falling. Watched her sister's handwriting grow more frantic. More desperate. May 1st, 2013. The solstice is 7 weeks away. I'm running out of time. Thomas and I found something in the archives, a counter-ritual. A way to trap the offering in the shadow realm instead of feeding it to whatever's waiting. It's dangerous. It might not work, but if I can perform it, if I can offer myself instead of Maya, then she'll be safe. She can leave. She can have the life she's always wanted, away from this cursed town and our cursed family. I haven't told Thomas what I'm planning. He'd try to stop me, but this is the only way. Maya was born first, even if only by 3 minutes. According to the ritual, the firstborn is preferred. They'll come for her. I know they will, so I'll go instead. Maya couldn't breathe. All these years, she'd thought Lily had been taken, kidnapped, murdered. All these years, she'd blamed herself for sleeping through it, for not waking up, for not somehow preventing the unpreventable. But Lily had chosen it, had walked into darkness willingly, deliberately, to save her. The journals went on. After that last entry, the handwriting changed, became scattered, fragmentary, like Lily was writing between moments of existence. I'm here, in the space between. I can see the world, but I can't touch it, can't speak, can only appear in daylight, when shadows are strongest. Thomas sees me sometimes. I try to tell him I'm okay, that it worked, but I don't know if he understands. Maya left town. I watched her pack, watched her drive away. Good. That's good. She's safe now. That's all that matters. The thing I trapped myself to protect her from, it's patient. It's waiting. And I think it knows the ritual won't hold forever. The last entry was dated 3 weeks ago. She's seeing me now. Finally. I've been trying for months. But she built her walls so high. But the solstice is coming again, and the ritual is weakening, and they're going to try for her. I need her to come home. I need her to understand. There's a way out for both of us. But I can't do it alone. Please see me, Maya. Please come home. Maya set down the journal with shaking hands. Around her, boxes full of evidence, full of Lily's obsession, full of proof that their hometown was built on something rotten and wrong. She pulled out her phone, took pictures of every page. Then she started going through the boxes. Newspaper clippings about disappearances. Police reports full of contradictions. Family trees showing the founding families. Chen, Holloway, Strand, Morrison, Blake, all interconnected through marriages and business dealings and blood. And photographs. So many photographs. Lily standing with a man outside the library. Both of them holding coffee cups, laughing at something off camera. The man was tall, dark-haired, maybe 30, with the kind of face that suggested he smiled rarely but meant it when he did. Thomas Strand. Maya studied his face in image after image. Lily had drawn him too, in the margins of her journals. Quick sketches. The kind you did when you couldn't stop thinking about someone. His profile. His hands. The way he pushed his glasses up his nose. Her sister had been in love. Had found someone who believed her, who helped her, who stood beside her against the impossible. And then she'd left him behind to save Maya. The grief hit like a physical blow. Maya doubled over, forehead pressed to the cold concrete floor, and finally let herself break. Sobs tore out of her throat. 12 years of denial and guilt and loss pouring out in the musty darkness of a storage unit in a town that had stolen everything from her. When she could breathe again, when the tears finally stopped, Maya stood. She pulled out her phone and searched. Thomas Strand, Ashwood Library. His face appeared immediately. Staff page for the Ashwood Public Library. Same dark hair, same serious eyes, 12 years older but unmistakably him. Thomas Strand. Head librarian and local history specialist. BA in History from Portland State. MLIS from University of Washington. Specializes in Pacific Northwest history and genealogical research. The library closed at 6. It was 5:40. Maya locked the storage unit, climbed back into her rental car, and drove toward downtown. The fog was thick now, turning street lamps into fuzzy globes of light. The library was a brick building from the 1922s, all arched windows and carved details, sitting on the corner of Main and Oak. She parked out front. Through the windows, she could see someone moving between the stacks, tall, dark-haired, alone. Her heart hammered against her ribs. This man had loved her sister, had helped her investigate Ashwood's darkness, had watched her disappear and spent 12 years trying to find a way to bring her back. Maya pushed open the library door. A bell chimed. The smell of old books and furniture polish washed over her, achingly familiar. How many afternoons had she and Lily spent here as children, hiding in the stacks, reading ghost stories until closing time? The man looked up from the circulation desk. For a moment, Neither of them moved. Then Thomas Strand's face went white. The book in his hands tumbled to the floor. "Lily," he whispered. "No," Maya said, and her voice cracked. "I'm Maya. I'm her sister." He stared at her. She watched him process it, the same face but different. A mirror, but not quite right. His hands gripped the edge of the desk like he might collapse without it. "Maya," he repeated. "You came back. She told me to. In a letter. In journals. Her voice broke. You've seen her too, haven't you? In the daylight." Thomas closed his eyes. When he opened them again, they were red-rimmed and fierce. "Every day for 12 years. Every single day. She appears somewhere in this town. And I follow her. And I try to understand what she's telling me. And then the sun sets, and she's gone." He moved around the desk toward Maya. Stopped a few feet away, like he was afraid she might vanish too. "She said you'd come. She said when you were ready. When you finally saw her, you'd come home." "I'm here," Maya said. "And I need you to tell me everything. I need to know how to save her." Thomas's expression shifted pain and hope and something that might have been love, still burning after all these years. "Then we need to move fast. Because the solstice is in 6 days. And if we don't break the cycle by then, what happens?" He met her eyes. "They come for you. Just like they came for her. And this time, there won't be anyone left to offer themselves instead." Outside, the fog pressed against the windows. Somewhere in that grayness, Maya knew her sister was watching. Waiting, trapped in shadows and sunlight, caught between worlds, hoping that this time finally someone could set her free. Chapter 3. Thomas locked the library's front door and flipped the sign to closed. His hands trembled slightly as he turned back to Maya, and she saw the weight of 12 years settling across his shoulders like a physical thing. "The archive room is downstairs," he said. His voice was rough, like he hadn't used it properly in days. "Everything I've collected, everything Lily and I found together, it's all there." Maya followed him through the stacks, past shelves of local history and genealogy, toward a door marked "Staff Only." The stairs beyond descended into darkness until Thomas flicked a switch, illuminating concrete steps worn smooth by decades of footsteps. The basement smelled like dust and paper and something else, something sharp and mineral. Like the air before lightning strikes, Thomas led her past storage rooms filled with discarded card catalogs and broken furniture to a door at the far end. He pulled out a key. Hesitated. "Before we go in," he said, not looking at her, "I need you to understand something. I loved your sister. Love her. Present tense. I've spent 12 years trying to bring her back, trying to break the ritual, trying to find a way to free her from whatever hell she's trapped in." His jaw worked. "When you walked through that door upstairs, for 1 second I thought," he stopped, swallowed. "You look so much like her." "I know," Maya said softly. "We're identical. We're identical. I don't know what tense to use anymore." Thomas's smile was bitter. "Neither do I." He unlocked the door. "Welcome to my obsession." The archive room was larger than Maya expected, perhaps 20 feet square, with a single barred window near the ceiling showing nothing but fog. But it was what filled the room that made her breath catch. Maps covered every wall, marked with pins and string connecting locations across Ashwood. Photographs, dozens of them, showed the missing women, dates written beneath each face. A timeline stretched across one entire wall, meticulously documenting every disappearance since 1955. And in the center of the room, a desk buried under notebooks, journals, and loose papers covered in dense handwriting. "Jesus," Maya whispered. 12 years, Thomas said. "This is what 12 years of research looks like when you can't let go, when you refuse to let go." He moved to the desk, pulled out a chair for her, then leaned against the wall opposite like he couldn't bear to sit. "Lily and I started investigating together in 2011. She'd noticed the pattern of disappearance every 5 years, always during the summer solstice, always a young woman from one of the founding families. She came to me because I was the town historian. She thought I might have access to records others didn't." "And did you?" "Yes." He gestured to a filing cabinet in the corner. "The official records are sanitized. Missing person reports that go nowhere. Investigations that conclude with runaway or accidental death despite no evidence. But there are other records. Private journals. Family letters. Things people donated to the library over the years without understanding what they revealed." He pulled open a drawer, extracted a leather-bound book. This belonged to Samuel Morrison, one of Ashwood's founders. He kept meticulous records of everything. Thomas opened the book to a page marked with a faded ribbon. "June 21st, 1847. The summer solstice. The day they made the pact. Maya took the book with shaking hands. The handwriting was cramped and old-fashioned, but legible. The ritual is complete. We have bound the Shadow Walker to our terms. It demands a daughter of Ashwood every 5 years, on the longest day, in exchange for prosperity. Our fishing will never fail. Our timber will always be strong. Our children will grow healthy. We 7 families have agreed: Morrison, Chen, Blake, Strand, Holloway, Pierce, and Carmichael. We will take turns providing the offering. May God forgive us for what we do in the name of survival. The book slipped from Maya's fingers. Thomas caught it before it hit the floor. The Shadow Walker, Maya said. What is it? We don't know exactly. Something old. Something that existed in these forests long before Europeans arrived. The indigenous people who lived here before they had stories about it. A creature that lived in the space between light and dark. That fed on life force. On potential. Young women at the peak of their power. Thomas set the book down carefully. The founders made a deal with it. Feed it. And it would ensure Ashwood thrived. Stop feeding it. And what? His expression darkened. We don't know. No one's ever tried to break the pact before. But based on what Lily found, we think the town itself would suffer. Crops would fail. Fish would disappear. People would get sick. Ashwood's prosperity isn't natural, it's bought with blood. Maya's mind reeled. And my family, we were supposed to provide twins. When available, yes. Twins are preferred. Something about the bond between them. The life force they share. It makes the offering more potent. Thomas pushed off from the wall. Started pacing. Lily figured it out in 2012. You two were turning 20 that year. The next solstice was 2013. The Chen family hadn't provided an offering since 1943. Your great-great-aunt disappeared that year. The town was waiting. The families were watching. Why didn't anyone tell us? Why didn't our parents warn us? Thomas's laugh was hollow. Because most people in Ashwood don't know the truth. The founding families keep it secret. And those who do know, they've convinced themselves it's necessary. That the prosperity is worth the cost. That it's just one girl every 5 years, and there are worse fates. He stopped pacing, faced her directly. Your parents knew. But I think they believed if they just kept quiet. If they pretended everything was normal. Maybe the families would choose someone else. Maybe you'd be safe. They were wrong. Yes. Thomas moved to one of the maps, traced a route through the forest with his finger. The ritual takes place in a clearing 3 miles north of town. Ancient ground. The founders built Ashwood around it specifically to have access to the site. On the summer solstice, at sunset, when the light is failing but hasn't quite gone, that's when the Shadow Walker can cross over. That's when it takes its offering. Maya stood, moved closer to the map. The clearing was marked with a red X. Around it, Thomas had drawn concentric circles, annotated with symbols she didn't recognize. Lily found a counter-ritual, Thomas continued. His voice had gone soft, wounded. Something that would trap the offering in the shadow realm instead of letting the creature consume them. A holding space between worlds. She could exist there, aware but untouchable. The Shadow Walker couldn't feed on her, but she wouldn't truly die either. And she did it, Maya said. She performed the ritual on herself. Yes. The word came out like a confession. The night before the solstice, she came to me. Told me she loved me. Told me she'd found a way to save you. I didn't understand what she meant until it was too late. His hands clenched into fists. I would have stopped her. I would have found another way. But she knew that, so she didn't tell me her plan until after. After. Thomas moved to the desk, pulled out a letter yellowed with age. She left this for me. I found it the morning after she disappeared. Maya took the letter. Recognized Lily's handwriting immediately. Thomas, by the time you read this, I'll be gone. Not dead, but not alive either. Somewhere in between, which seems fitting for someone who never quite belonged anywhere. I'm sorry I didn't tell you. I'm sorry I didn't give you the chance to talk me out of it. But this is the only way. Maya is the firstborn. She's the one they want. And I won't let them take her. The counter-ritual will work. I'll be trapped, yes, but I'll still exist. And maybe someday, someone will find a way to break the cycle completely. To free all of us, the 14 women who came before, and me, and whoever would have come after. I love you. I've loved you since the first day you believed me when everyone else thought I was crazy. Keep researching. Keep looking for answers. And if Maya ever comes back, when she comes back, tell her the truth. Tell her I chose this. Tell her she was always worth saving. Wait for me in the daylight. I'll find ways to reach you. Yours in shadow, Lily. Maya's vision blurred. She set the letter down before her tears could damage it further. You've been trying to bring her back ever since. Every day. Thomas gestured to the notebooks covering his desk. I've researched every mythology, every folklore tradition, every academic text on shadow creatures and liminal spaces. I've interviewed the families of the other missing women, the ones who'll talk to me. I've documented every time Lily appears, tracking the patterns, trying to understand the rules of her existence. He pulled out a leather journal, flipped it open. The pages were covered in notes and sketches. She can only appear during daylight hours, when shadows are strongest. She's visible in reflections, in areas of contrast between light and dark. She can manipulate small objects, sometimes move a piece of paper, create condensation on glass. She's been trying to communicate, but it's difficult, like trying to shout through water. Maya studied the sketches. Thomas had drawn Lily hundreds of times standing in doorways, reflected in windows, casting shadows that didn't quite match the angle of the sun. Each drawing was annotated with dates, times, locations. You see her every day, sometimes multiple times a day. I've learned her patterns. She appears at the library most mornings, at the harbor around noon, sometimes at the house she shared with you, standing in the yard, looking up at your old bedroom window. His voice cracked. I talk to her. I know she can hear me, even if she can't respond. I tell her about my research, about what I've learned. I tell her, he stopped, composed himself. I tell her I haven't given up, that I never will. The dedication was devastating. Maya thought about James, about their careful relationship built on surface-level comfort and mutual convenience. She'd thought that was love. She'd thought that was enough. This what Thomas felt for Lily, this was something else entirely. Something that survived 12 years of separation. 12 years of one-sided conversations with a ghost. 12 years of refusing to move on because moving on would mean abandoning hope. Does she know? Maya asked. That you're still trying? Thomas smiled. And it transformed his face, made him look younger, less haunted. I think so. Sometimes, she touches her hand to glass where I'm standing on the other side, like she's reaching for me. Sometimes, she draws hearts in window condensation. It's not enough, but it's something. Maya's throat tightened. I had no idea. All these years, I thought she was dead. I thought she'd been taken by some serial killer, or trafficker, or I never imagined this. That she chose it. That she did it for me. She wanted you to have a life, Thomas said gently. She wanted you to escape Ashwood, to be free from this curse, to have all the things she knew she'd never have if she stayed. And I did escape. I built a whole life in New York. Career, apartment, relationship. All of it built on her sacrifice. And I didn't even know. The guilt threatened to crush her. I should have looked harder. I should have known something was wrong. I should have. She wanted you not to know. Thomas moved closer, his expression fierce. That was the whole point, Maya. She didn't want you carrying this. She didn't want you trapped in Ashwood the way she knew she would be. Don't dishonor her choice by drowning in guilt. Then what should I do? Help me break the ritual. Completely. Not just save Lily, but end the cycle forever. Free all 15 women trapped in the shadow realm. Make sure no one else ever has to be sacrificed. He pulled out a stack of papers covered in diagrams and formulas. I think I've found a way, but I can't do it alone. The ritual requires. A sound from upstairs cut him off. Footsteps. Multiple people. Thomas's face went white. No one should be in the building. I locked the doors. The footsteps grew louder, descending the stairs. Maya's heart hammered. Thomas moved between her and the door, instinctively protective. The door opened without anyone touching the handle. 5 people stood in the doorway, 3 men, 2 women. All well-dressed. All wearing expressions of controlled anger. Maya recognized one of them immediately. Mayor Harrison Blake, one of Ashwood's founding families. Mr. Strand, the mayor said coolly. And Maya Chen. How convenient. We've been waiting for you to come home. Chapter 4. Mayor Blake stepped into the archive room like he owned it. Behind him, the others filed in Police Chief Sarah Morrison. 2 men Maya didn't recognize, and a woman whose silver hair and sharp eyes marked her as someone used to being obeyed. Catherine Holloway, Thomas said quietly. Dorothy's sister-in-law. She sits on the town council. Mr. Strand. The mayor's voice was pleasant, but his eyes were cold. I'm afraid you've been accessing restricted materials. Materials that aren't meant for public consumption. This is a public library, Thomas said evenly. Everything here is public record. Not everything. Chief Morrison moved past the mayor, her gaze sweeping the room, the maps, the photographs, the evidence of 12 years of obsession. You've been digging into matters that don't concern you, making accusations about prominent families, filling Miss Chen's head with dangerous nonsense. It's not nonsense, Maya said. Her voice came out steadier than she felt. It's the truth. 15 women have disappeared from this town. 15 sacrifices to keep Ashwood prosperous. And you all know it. Catherine Holloway's expression didn't change. You've been gone a long time, Maya. You don't understand how things work here anymore. I understand that my sister is trapped between worlds, because your family's made a deal with something evil. I understand that you've been feeding it young women for over a century. I understand that your sister made a choice, the mayor interrupted smoothly. A noble choice, really. She saved you. She saved the town. Why dredge up the past? Why not let sleeping dogs lie? Thomas's hands clenched. Because the cycle continues. Because in 2018, Rebecca Pierce disappeared. Because in 5 days, on the summer solstice, you'll be looking for another offering. And I think we all know who you've chosen. The silence that followed was heavy and dangerous. One of the unidentified men, younger, maybe 40, with the confident bearing of old money, smiled. The Chen family owes a debt. Your great-great-aunt's sacrifice bought your family 70 years of prosperity. Now it's time to balance the scales. Maya's blood ran cold. You want me? Want is such an ugly word, Catherine said. The ritual requires certain bloodlines. The Chen line has always been powerful. Twins are even better. Your sister's sacrifice was incomplete. She trapped herself rather than feeding the shadow walker properly. The creature is hungry. Angry. This solstice, we need to make things right. By murdering me. By fulfilling the pact that's kept this town alive for generations. The mayor stepped closer. You don't understand what's at stake. Ashwood thrives because of the ritual. Our children grow healthy. Our businesses prosper. We don't suffer the poverty and decline that plagues other small towns. All we have to do is honor the agreement. All you have to do is kill someone every 5 years. Maya spat. That's not prosperity. That's evil. Chief Morrison's hand moved to her hip, where her service weapon rested. You should leave town, Miss Chen. Tonight. Drive back to New York and forget you ever came here. Forget about your sister. She made her choice. You should make yours. And if I don't, the chief's smile was thin. Then we'll ensure you stay for the solstice. Voluntarily or otherwise. Thomas moved in front of Maya. You can't do this. I have copies of everything in this room. Documentation. Evidence. If anything happens to either of us, it goes public. The press. The state police. The FBI. No one will believe you, Catherine said calmly. They'll think you're a conspiracy theorist. A man obsessed with his dead girlfriend. Seeing patterns where none exist. And Maya, well, she's clearly having a breakdown. Returning to her hometown after years away, imagining her dead sister is alive. It's tragic, really. The younger man pulled out his phone. We can have you committed, Miss Chen. Held for psychiatric evaluation. 72 hours minimum. That gets us past the solstice. After that, it won't matter what you remember or what you think you know. Maya's heart hammered. They had thought of everything. Had contingencies for every scenario. This wasn't the first time they dealt with someone who discovered the truth. There's another option, Thomas said quietly. Let us try to break the ritual. If we succeed, the Shadow Walker loses its hold on Ashwood. The pact ends. No more sacrifices. The mayor laughed. And what happens to the town? Do our fish suddenly disappear? Do our children start dying of diseases we haven't seen in a century? Do our businesses fail? He shook his head. We're not willing to take that risk. Then you're cowards, Maya said. Building your lives on the backs of murdered women. My sister. Rebecca Pierce. All the others. You're not protectors. You're accomplices. Catherine's expression finally cracked, showing something hard and angry beneath. Your sister was a fool. She could have left. Could have run like you did. Instead, she chose to play hero. That's not our fault. She chose to save me because she knew you'd come for one of us. She chose love over self-preservation. Maya met each of their eyes in turn. What have any of you ever chosen besides your own comfort? The silence stretched taut. Then the mayor sighed. Take them. The two men moved forward. Thomas grabbed a heavy book from the desk and swung it at the nearest one, catching him in the temple. The man staggered. Chief Morrison pulled her weapon. Don't, she said flatly. The window exploded inward. Glass shattered across the floor. Through the broken window, fog poured in, but not natural fog. This moved purposefully, thickening, forming shapes. And in the shapes, faces. Women's faces. 14 of them, pale and desperate and furious. The missing girls. Catherine stumbled backward. That's not possible. They can't manifest. Not until the solstice. But they were manifesting. Maya saw Lily at the front, more solid than she'd ever appeared, her shadow form crackling with energy. Behind her, the others, Rebecca Pierce, young and terrified, women from decades past, their fashions dating them to different eras. All of them focused on the founding family members with expressions of pure rage. Run, Thomas grabbed Maya's hand. Now. They bolted for the door. The fog shapes surged forward, blocking the founding family members. Maya heard shouts. Sounds of struggle. But she didn't look back. Thomas pulled her up the stairs, through the library, out into the night. The fog followed them into the street but didn't attack. Instead, it coalesced into a single figure, Lily. More defined than Maya had ever seen her, glowing faintly in the streetlight. Her sister pointed north, toward the forest. Then she mouthed 2 words. 5 days. Then she dissolved, and the fog pulled back, retreating into shadows. Thomas was breathing hard. They'll come after us. We need to hide. Need to. We need to finish what Lily started, Maya said. Her fear had crystallized into something harder. Determination. Fury. 5 days. We have 5 days to break this ritual. Where do we start? Thomas looked at her, and something shifted in his expression. Recognition. Maybe. Or respect. The original pact. It's sealed in the town hall's foundation stone. We need it to perform the counter-ritual. Then let's get it. Maya, these people, they'll kill us if they have to. You saw how they talked. They believe they're protecting the town. They're protecting themselves, Maya said. And I'm done letting them. Lily's been trapped for 12 years because of their cowardice. 14 other women are suffering in that shadow realm. How many more before someone says enough? She grabbed his arm. Help me end this. Please. Thomas studied her face for a long moment. Then he nodded. My apartment. I have blueprints of the town hall there, research on how the foundation stones were laid. We'll need tools, a distraction, and a lot of luck. They made it to Thomas's place, a second-floor apartment above the bookstore, without being stopped. Once inside, Thomas locked the door, checked the windows, then pulled out his phone. No signal, he said grimly. They're jamming it. They control the cell towers. Maya's phone was the same. Dead air where service should be. Can we get a message out? Email. Internet goes through the same infrastructure. They've cut us off. Thomas moved to his desk, started pulling out papers. We're on our own. For the next 3 hours, they planned. Thomas had blueprints of the town hall, maps of the underground utilities, schedules for the security guards. The foundation stone was in the basement, beneath the main floor, sealed behind what looked like decorative marble but was actually reinforced concrete. We'll need power tools to get through, Thomas said. And time. At least an hour of uninterrupted access. Can't we just break in at night? The building's under surveillance. Guards patrol every 2 hours. And now that the founding families know we're a threat, they'll be watching it specifically. Maya studied the blueprints. There had to be a way. What about during the day? When the building's open to the public? Too many people. Too many witnesses. Unless there's a distraction. Maya looked up. Something that draws everyone out of the building. A fire alarm. A bomb threat. That would bring emergency services. More people, not fewer. Maya's mind raced. Then she saw it. The summer festival. It starts tomorrow, right? The pre-solstice celebration. Thomas's eyes widened. The whole town will be on Main Street. Music, vendors, the parade. The town hall will be nearly empty. Skeleton staff at most. Maya felt the pieces clicking into place. We go in during the festival. You have keys to the building? I did research there for years. They gave me access to the archives. He pulled out a key ring. But Maya, Even if we get the foundation stone, that's only one part of the ritual. We still need your blood. I'll give it. And a willing sacrifice to seal the doorway. The words hung between them. Maya's throat tightened. What kind of sacrifice? Thomas's expression was pained. Someone has to take the place of the women in the shadow realm. Anchor the doorway from the other side while we perform the sealing ritual. It's not death, exactly, but it's what Lily did. Yes, except permanent. There's no coming back from it. Maya's hands clenched. There has to be another way. I've spent 12 years looking. There isn't. Thomas moved closer. His voice gentle. But we have 5 days. Maybe we'll find something I missed. Maybe Lily knows something we don't. She's been in the shadow realm all this time. She might have learned. A sound at the window cut him off. Both of them froze. Tap, tap, tap. Thomas moved to the window carefully. Outside, fog pressed against the glass. And in the fog, Lily. She was writing something in the condensation. Letters appearing backward from Maya's perspective. Trust Thomas. Love Maya. Not your fault. Maya's eyes burned. She moved to the window. Pressed her palm against the glass where her sister's hand rested on the other side. For a moment, she could almost feel warmth. Almost feel the connection they'd shared since birth. The bond that not even death, not even whatever this was, could break. I'm going to save you, Maya whispered. I promise. Lily smiled, sad and knowing and somehow at peace. Then she pointed at Thomas. Then at Maya. Then drew a heart in the condensation. Maya understood. Her sister wasn't just asking for help. She was giving permission. When Maya looked at Thomas, she found him watching her with an expression she couldn't quite name. Grief and hope and something else. Something that made her breath catch. She told me, he said quietly, the night before she disappeared. She said, if anything happens to me, promise you'll make sure Maya learns to live again. Don't let her turn to stone like I know she will. His voice roughened. She could see your future. See how you'd shut down. Build walls. Stop feeling anything real. She wanted to prevent that. She was right, Maya said. I spent 12 years being half alive, safe and successful and completely numb. And now I feel everything. Terror and grief and... She stopped. Swallowed. I feel alive. Thomas moved closer. Close enough that Maya could see the flecks of gold in his brown eyes, see the exhaustion and determination written in every line of his face. We're going to end this. We're going to free all of them, Lily and the others. We're going to break this curse. And if we can't? If one of us has to, then we'll face that when we come to it. His hand found hers. Warm. Solid. Real. But right now, we focus on the next step. We get the foundation stone. We gather the other elements. We give ourselves every possible chance. Maya squeezed his hand. Outside the window, Lily's shadow watched them. And Maya thought she saw her sister nod approval before the fog pulled back and she vanished into the night. For the first time in 12 years, Maya wasn't running from her past. She was running toward it. Toward truth and danger, and the sister she'd thought she'd lost forever. 5 days until the solstice. 5 days to break a curse that had stood for over a century. 5 days to save 15 women trapped between worlds. It should have felt impossible. Instead, with Thomas's hand in hers and her sister's shadow guiding them, it felt like the first real thing Maya had done in her entire adult life. Chapter 5. The summer solstice arrived with cruel perfection, sky so blue it hurt to look at. Sun burning away the coastal fog before dawn. The longest day of the year stretching ahead like a challenge. Maya stood at Thomas's window watching the light spread across Ashwood, the stolen foundation stone heavy in her backpack. They'd taken it 3 nights ago during the festival, breaking through reinforced concrete while the town danced and sang on Main Street. Her palms still bore blisters from the power tools, and Thomas had a bruise along his ribs where he'd slipped on the basement stairs during their escape. But they had it. The original pact, carved into granite. Samuel Morrison's handwriting preserved in stone and blood. The words seemed to pulse in the dim apartment, as if the stone itself was alive and angry. You should eat something, Thomas said from the kitchen. He'd been up all night, reviewing his notes, triple-checking the ritual components. Dark circles shadowed his eyes, and his hands shook slightly as he poured coffee. We have hours yet. The ritual can't begin until sunset. Maya's stomach turned at the thought of food. I can't. Maya. I can't, Thomas. She turned to face him. In 12 hours, everything changes. Everything. Either we succeed and break this curse, or we fail and… She couldn't finish the sentence. Didn't need to. They both knew what failure meant. Thomas crossed the room, pressed a mug of coffee into her hands anyway. We won't fail. We have everything we need. The pact. Your blood. The ritual Lily found. He paused. Everything except the willing sacrifice. Maya set down the mug untouched. I've been thinking about that all night. So have I. Thomas's jaw set in a way that made Maya's heart sink. It should be me. No. Maya, listen. No. She grabbed his arm. Lily would never forgive me. You think I could look her in the eye assuming this even works and tell her I let you die? Let you trap yourself in that shadow realm? It's not death. You said yourself. Lily's been there 12 years. She's aware. She exists. In torment. Thomas, you've seen her. She can barely communicate. She's a ghost. Trapped between worlds. Watching life go on without her. Maya's voice cracked. I won't do that to you. I won't. And I won't let them take you. Thomas pulled away. Started pacing. That's what the founding families want. They'll be waiting at the Grove tonight. They know we have the pact. Know we're planning something. They'll try to stop us. And if they can't stop us, they'll try to force you into the ritual anyway. Make you the offering. Then we'll fight them. Against the mayor, the police chief, half the town council. Maya, we're two people. We can't. A knock at the door froze them both. Thomas moved silently to the window, peered down at the street, his shoulders relaxed fractionally. It's Dorothy Holloway. He opened the door to find the old woman standing in the hallway, breathing hard like she'd run the whole way. In her arms, she carried a wooden box covered in carved symbols. Mrs. Holloway, Thomas said. How did you? I know where you live, boy. Known since you moved to town. She pushed past him into the apartment, set the box on the table with a heavy thunk. And I know what you're planning. The whole damn town knows. The families have people watching this building. Maya's blood chilled. Then why? Because someone needs to help you. Dorothy's eyes were fierce. My sister-in-law Catherine might have sold her soul for Ashwood's prosperity. But I haven't. I've watched 15 women disappear in my lifetime. 15 daughters sacrificed while the rest of us looked away. She opened the box. Inside, nestled in velvet, lay a collection of crystals, each one perfectly cut to catch and refract light. These belonged to my grandmother. She was part of the original 7 families. But she didn't agree with the pact. Spent her whole life trying to find a way to break it. Thomas lifted one of the crystals reverently. These are for focusing light. For making the shadow realm visible. For making it accessible, Dorothy corrected. Your Lily found the counter-ritual in the archives. But what she didn't find, what my grandmother hid because she knew the families would destroy it, was the completion. The way to seal the doorway without requiring a permanent sacrifice. Maya's heart stuttered. There's another way. There's always another way. The families just didn't want anyone to find it. Dorothy pulled out a leather journal from the box, opened it to a page marked with ribbon. Twin souls. That's what the ritual really requires. Not death. Not imprisonment. Balance. One soul to anchor the light. One to anchor the shadow. But here's what the founding families never understood: twins can share the burden. 6 months in each realm. Switching at the equinoxes. Neither trapped, neither free, but both alive. Thomas grabbed the journal, scanning the pages rapidly. This is it. This is what I've been searching for. He looked up at Dorothy with something like awe. Why didn't you tell me years ago? When Lily first disappeared. Because you weren't ready. Neither of you were. Dorothy's gaze moved between them. This ritual requires absolute trust. Absolute love. The kind of bond that transcends worlds. Lily had to learn that in the shadow realm. Maya had to learn it by losing everything she thought mattered. And you, Thomas, her expression softened. You had to learn that love isn't about holding on. It's about letting go and trusting they'll come back. The apartment fell silent except for the ticking of the kitchen clock. Each second bringing them closer to sunset. Closer to the moment when everything would change or everything would end. We need to prepare, Thomas said finally. If we're doing this, if we're really doing this, we need to be ready. The hours blurred together. They gathered supplies, reviewed Dorothy's grandmother's notes, practiced the ritual words until Maya could recite them in her sleep. Dorothy left to cause a distraction, her words promising to keep the founding families occupied until the last possible moment. As the sun began its slow descent, Maya and Thomas loaded everything into his truck, and drove north toward the forest. The road was empty, but Maya could feel eyes watching from the trees. Ashwood knew. The town itself seemed to hold its breath. The grove was exactly as Thomas had described, ancient trees forming a perfect circle, their branches creating patterns of light and shadow on the ground. In the center, a flat stone altar stained dark with generations of blood. And surrounding the grove, waiting the founding families. Mayor Blake stood as the head of the group, 20 people behind him. Some Maya recognized. Others were strangers. All of them watching with expressions ranging from anger to resignation. "You can't stop this," the mayor said as Maya and Thomas approached. "The ritual happens tonight whether you cooperate or not. The Shadow Walker is hungry. It's been denied too long. If we don't provide an offering, it will take what it wants and it won't be gentle." "Then let it come," Maya said. She set down the backpack containing the foundation stone. "We're ending this. All of it. The pact, the sacrifices, the curse. Tonight." Chief Morrison stepped forward, hand on her weapon. "We can't let you do that. You can't stop us." Thomas's voice was steady. "We have everything we need. And even if you kill us, someone else will finish what we started. Dorothy Holloway has copies of everything. Instructions. Evidence. If we don't succeed tonight, the truth goes public tomorrow." Catherine Holloway emerged from the crowd, her face pale. "Dorothy wouldn't. Your sister-in-law has more courage than you ever did," Maya said. "She's been waiting her whole life for someone brave enough to break this curse. Congratulations. You're about to watch it happen." The sun touched the horizon. The quality of light shifted, becoming golden and urgent. In the shadows between the trees, shapes began to form. Women, 15 of them, growing more solid as the light failed. Lily stood at the front, clearer than Maya had ever seen her. Behind her, Rebecca Pierce and all the others, their faces set with determination and hope and desperate, terrible hunger for freedom. The mayor's composure cracked. "This isn't possible. They can't manifest until the veil is thinnest," Thomas said. "Which is now. Sunset on the summer solstice, when light and dark are perfectly balanced. When the ritual can be broken or renewed." He pulled out Dorothy's crystals, began arranging them in a circle around the altar. "You have a choice. Let us work, or watch as the women you've imprisoned for decades take their revenge." The shadow women surged forward, not attacking yet, but the threat was clear. The founding families backed away, uncertainty replacing their confidence. Maya stepped into the circle of crystals. Thomas followed, carrying the foundation stone. The carved words seemed to glow in the dying light. "Are you sure about this?" Thomas asked quietly. 6 months in each realm. 6 months as a shadow. It's not a small thing. Neither is freedom. Maya took his hand. "Let's end this." They began. Thomas spoke the ritual words while Maya used a knife to cut her palm, let blood drip onto the foundation stone. The words were old, older than English, older than any language Maya recognized, but somehow, she understood them. A breaking, a severing, a new bargain. The crystals began to glow, refracting the sunset into beams of concentrated light. Where the beams touched shadow, the barrier between worlds grew thin. Transparent. Lily stepped through first. She looked exactly as Maya remembered, same dark hair, same quick eyes, same slight smile. But older. 12 years older. Wearing those years in the set of her shoulders, the lines around her eyes. She was solid now, no longer shadow but flesh and blood, and terrifyingly real. "Maya," she said, and her voice was rough from disuse. "You came." Maya couldn't speak, could only cross the circle and throw her arms around her sister, feeling warmth and solidity, and the impossible reality of Lily's presence. They collapsed together, holding each other. 12 years of grief and loss, and love pouring out in broken sobs. "I'm sorry," Maya gasped. "I'm so sorry. I didn't know. I didn't understand." "Shh." Lily pulled back, cupped Maya's face in her hands. "You weren't supposed to know. That was the point." She looked past Maya to Thomas, and her expression transformed. "Thomas." He moved to her like gravity was pulling him, gathered her close. "I waited. Every day. Just like I promised. I know. I saw." Lily's voice broke. "I saw everything." Behind her, the other shadow women were emerging, tentative, uncertain, but coming through. Rebecca Pierce stumbled into the circle, fell to her knees, pressed her hands against solid ground like she couldn't believe it was real. But the doorway was unstable. Maya could feel it, the barrier between worlds stretching too thin, threatening to tear completely. And behind the women, something else stirred. Something vast and ancient and furious. The Shadow Walker. It had no form Maya could comprehend. One moment it looked like smoke, the next like thousands of reaching hands, the next like a hole in reality itself. But its presence was overwhelming hunger, and rage and endless, terrible need. The seal, Thomas said urgently. We need to seal the doorway now. But the other women, Maya looked at the shadows still trapped, still trying to push through. They are coming. Lily grabbed Maya's hand, then Thomas's. Trust me. Everyone through. Then we seal it. Both sides. Forever. The final shadow women emerged as the sun slipped below the horizon. The moment true darkness fell, the Shadow Walker surged forward, trying to cross over with them. Now, Lily shouted. Maya and Lily spoke the sealing words together, their voices harmonizing the way they had as children. The crystals flared blindingly bright. The foundation stone cracked down the middle with a sound like thunder. And the doorway shifted. Instead of closing completely, it stabilized. Became a threshold rather than a barrier. A place where the two realms touched but didn't merge. The Shadow Walker slammed against it and couldn't cross. Trapped on the other side, it raged and screamed in frequencies that made Maya's bones ache. But the seal held. Lily's form began to flicker. It's working. The shared burden. Maya, you need to. I know. Maya squeezed her sister's hand. 6 months. I'll see you at the spring equinox. No. Lily's grip tightened. You don't understand. The ritual, it needs one of us to anchor the shadow realm now. To maintain the seal from the other side until the equinox. I'll go. I've been there before. I know. Absolutely not. Maya pulled her sister close. You've spent 12 years in that place. It's my turn. You stay here. Live. Love Thomas. Have the life you sacrificed for me. Maya. It's not negotiable, Lily. Maya looked at Thomas, tried to memorize his face. Take care of her. Both of you take care of each other. I'll see you in 6 months. Before either of them could stop her, Maya stepped backward through the threshold. The shadow realm swallowed her. It was cold. Not physically, there was no temperature here. No sensation in the usual sense. But emptiness cold, isolation cold. The cold of being utterly and completely alone. Except she wasn't alone. The doorway glowed in front of her. And through it she could see Lily and Thomas. See them reaching for her. See the anguish on their faces. She pressed her hand to the barrier. Lily mirrored the gesture from the other side. 6 months, Maya mouthed. Through the window between worlds, she watched Thomas pull Lily into his arms, watched her sister collapse against him, watched the other freed women scatter into the forest, running toward freedom and families and lives they'd thought lost forever, watched the founding families standing frozen, their power broken, their secrets exposed, watched Ashwood begin to heal. The sun rose on Maya's first full day in the shadow realm. She learned quickly she could move through the human world but not touch it, could see but not be seen except in reflections, in shadows, in the spaces between light and dark. She watched Lily and Thomas document everything, watched them expose the founding family's crimes, watched them help the freed women rebuild their lives, and she waited. 6 months felt like eternity and no time at all. Maya learned to navigate the shadow realm, learned its rules and rhythms, learned that she could communicate through manipulation of light, through careful arrangement of shadows, learned that love could span impossible distances. The autumn equinox arrived with golden light and falling leaves. Maya felt the pull, the ritual calling her back, offering the switch. She emerged in the grove at sunset, solid and real and whole. Lily was waiting, no longer afraid, no longer grieving. They embraced, traded places with practiced ease. Tell Thomas, Lily began. Tell him yourself in 6 months, Maya said. I'll keep the seal. You go live. And Lily stepped into shadow as Maya stepped into light. Winter came. Maya stood in Thomas's apartment, their apartment now, watching snow fall over Ashwood. He came up behind her, wrapped his arms around her waist, rested his chin on her shoulder. She's out there, he said quietly. I saw her shadow in the library this morning. She organized the books I'd left scattered. Left me a note in the dust on the desk. Maya smiled. She always was the organized one. And you're the brave one. He turned her to face him. Taking this burden, sharing it, giving both of you a chance at life. It's not bravery. It's love. Maya touched his face. We have 3 more months. Then I go back and she comes home to you. I'll love you both, Thomas said. In your seasons. For as long as you'll have me. That's the deal. Maya kissed him, feeling the miracle of solid form, of warmth and breath and heartbeat. She lives in my shadow during the day, and I live in hers at night. We are never truly apart. Through the window, in the winter sunlight, Lily's shadow appeared. Maya saw her sister's form raise one hand thumbs up and felt joy burst through her chest. They'd done it. Broken the curse. Saved the town. Found a way to both be free. Some loves transcended dimension. Some bonds couldn't be broken, not by death, not by darkness, not by the space between worlds. Maya took Thomas's hand and pulled him away from the window, away from shadows and sacrifice and the weight of the past. Spring would come. Summer would follow. The seasons would turn and the sisters would trade places, keeping the seal, maintaining the balance. But right now, this moment, Maya was alive and whole and home. And that was enough. The end.